Hello everybody, my name is Clantis and welcome to my YouTube channel. So guys, I just want to say two things. The first one is that the case that I'm going to be talking about in this video, it's a case that I've been following for some time now, but it was for the purposes of uploading it on my True Crime YouTube channel. Yes, I do have a True Crime YouTube channel. It's called The Iron Bars. I have not been posting there in a minute. I will be resuming uploads on that particular channel. The reason why I had stopped uploading there is because I wanted to focus on this particular channel. And also there were other things as well that were disturbing me because a true crime YouTube channel demands a lot of work. There are a lot of research that takes probably 2 weeks to 3 weeks sometimes. And editing takes days and it's very, very draining to do a true crime YouTube video. So I kind of like parked it for a while. I know that I'm going to get back. I think I'm going to start uploading on my birthday, which is going to be on the 14th of July. That is when I will post my first video. And the first video was going to be on this very case that I'm going to be talking about in this video. But before I get to that case, so drama that happened at the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court today when Thabo Bester's former lawyer, that is Mr. Ndou, indeed, the media saw him enter the court. I think they were even able to talk to him a few words here and there, but I don't think he gave them anything. And then, of course, the media, apparently, from what I understand, they made an application to film in court the proceedings. And so they did everything on time. But when the time came for the case to sit, doors were closed. In fact, they changed the courtroom. And then from changing the courtroom, wherever Mr. Ndou was being processed by the court, the doors were locked. And apparently they were using a back door. That is where, I think it's where that leads to the magistrate's chambers. I think everybody was using that, not in the public. And I'm quite a little bit upset as a public gallery, because as a public gallery, you and I, we want to be present. We want to be present in the process. We want to hear if there were more charges that were added onto what they already had. But we do know that his case was postponed until I think the 8th. I can't remember. Anyway, I'll find. I think sometime in July, he is going to appear again because more investigations need to be concluded. As you know that, guys, he is accused of assault as well as that word that rhymes with grape. So you just remove the G. So we don't know what other charges that may have been added, if any, or what outstanding charges that they want to add, if there are any. So his case was postponed, I think, until July or something like that. And that was a bummer for me because I was looking forward to this particular case. But now that it's not in the public eye, let's see on the 26th when Mr. Pila appears to hear whether it is a trial. Is it going to be a pre-trial, or is it going to be, I don't know. We'll hear on the 26th. I hope they're not going to play the game that they played today on us. And I think the media should not let this one go. They should definitely get the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court called out for what it did today. Because the matter is in the public eye. Come on. He still was the lawyer of Thabo Bester before all of this came to light. So we have an interest. So let's get into today's video, and it is the video about the vilest man in South Africa. This guy is so vile that he doesn't even realize that he's a vile man. As a matter of fact, he had the audacity to ask the court, what did I do wrong? Tell me. Like, what? But anyways, let's get into the nitty-gritties of this particular story. Who am I talking about? I am talking about Gerhard Ackerman. I'm not quite sure how many of you are familiar with this case. Actually, it came to light, at least to me, in 2023, around January, February. That's when this matter it came to light. And I was like, this is quite interesting for my True Crime YouTube channel. I'm going to follow the proceedings until he's found guilty and sentenced. And then I will compile a video and then drop it on my True Crime YouTube channel. So the first time that I heard about Gerhard Ackerman, my stomach turned. I became cold, and I could not believe that a human being would do something like that to young children, minor children. So this case makes my blood to boil. It's so upsetting, and what upsets me the most and so disappointing, guys, you will not believe, because it involves somebody that I had great respect for by the name of Paul Kennedy. Advocate Paul Kennedy. If I may remind you, Paul Kennedy was the lead prosecutor in the Zondo Commission of Inquiry. Remember that guy who was really turning on the heat on the people that were implicated in the state of capture? That guy, he was involved in this whole mess. But what he did, I don't know what you think about what he did. If you have a thought about that, please leave it in the comment section. He actually deleted himself after he was arrested and freed on bail. A whole advocate who was also an acting judge at the time when he was arrested for this case. And so after he got bail, he went home and deleted himself. When he deleted himself, he basically said that he was saving the profession, meaning the Johannesburg bar, as well as the judiciary, of the embarrassment that he had caused. He also said that he is deleting himself so that he can bring closure to the victims. These are kids, little boys that he took advantage of because of his privilege. If I had to tell you about Advocate Paul Kennedy, one of the greatest legal minds South Africa has ever had post 1994, your head will spin. And I'm so disappointed that this man was involved in this mess. Not only was he an acting judge and advocate, he was also a human rights lawyer. For a person who holds such a title, human rights lawyer, you ought to know that children are the most vulnerable, and children ought to be protected at all costs when it comes to human rights. Why did he break the law there? I don't understand. I really don't. Do you think what he did by deleting himself was an honorable thing? I'm very interested to hear from you. Oh, by the way, before he deleted himself, he was accused of rape, as well as other charges that were being brought before him that he needed to stand. Because this Gerhard Ackerman guy, he was charged with 740 counts of rape, of human trafficking, distribution of child pornography. We'll use a C instead of the P because YouTube, we know. He was doing that sort of, he calls it business. And he says that none of those boys that he sold to his clientele did not consent. All of them agreed to do this job. So basically what this vile man used to do, he would lure little boys as young as 7 years old. But he says all the boys that he has done business with are 16 years old. They are of sex age according to the law. But this vile man called Gerhard Ackerman said that they consented. And when they did more investigations, it was found out that there was a 15-year-old. Now, that is a minor who doesn't fall within the scope of the law when it comes to consent. And he says, no, TW, I think this boy is called in the court records. He's a 15-year-old. He was vulnerable. He came from a poverty-stricken background, and that was his modus operandi. He would find young boys who were vulnerable, that came from poverty-stricken families, and he would promise them jobs. And when these boys would take the job, only to find out that they are going to be sold to grown-ass men who will have sex with them. And one of these men, Paul Kennedy was HIV positive. I'm not shaming him. This is in court records. You can go and find them. It's there. It's not me who's saying this. It's in the court records that he was HIV positive, and possibly some of these boys have been infected by him. So when you go deeper on this case, you are left with nothing but anger. The reason why I'm not going to give the whole detail about this case, like I said earlier, this case is reserved for my true crime YouTube channel, where I go deeper into the details. Who is this Gerhard Ackerman? When he was born? What is zodiac sign? The works. He gives me Gemini vibes. Definitely he does. If it's not Gemini, Scorpio vibes. Sorry, Scorpios. So this vile man also owned a black book. You know, apparently prostitutes, especially like your high-class prostitutes, they have what you call a black book. Now, a black book, it is where they keep the high-profile clientele. This Gerhard guy also had a black book in the form of a cell phone. Not only did he have high-profile clientele, but he also kept child pornography. We just use, you see, he had child pornography in that cell phone, and he says he saw nothing wrong. When he was interrogated or cross-examined in court, it came out that he used to direct these boys. Basically, he would tell the boys how to pose, how to look, where to shave, and how to do certain things on his clients. These boys were traumatized. They said that when they were lured by Mr. Ackerman, they believed that he had a job for them. They did not know that they were going to be Ubered to some creepy guy's place, and this creepy guy would ask this boy to strip naked. After stripping naked, he would do things to this boy. Can you imagine you thinking that you got a job because you're going to take care of your family, only to find yourself in some creepy old man's house, and he's stripping you naked, doing things to you that, as a 16-year-old, you still don't comprehend a lot of things. And most of these boys, as far as the court records are concerned, they were virgins. And then Paul Kennedy, advocate Paul Kennedy, knowing fully well his HIV status, he still went ahead and raped these boys without a condom. So to protect the young boys' identity, their testimony was in camera at the Johannesburg High Court or South Gauteng High Court. And whenever they testified, of course, the court was closed to the public. But for Ackerman, when he took to the stand, the court was open, basically meaning the public gallery was open for the public to come and listen to his vile act on these young boys. Mr. Ackerman actually told the court that he was running a business, a masseuse business, meaning like these boys, their job was to massage. To even think that a 16-year-old would massage a grown-ass man, it's upsetting. So that's what he said, that they would massage. There were no penetration that was allowed. He tells the court that his thumb rule was that no penetration. But the boy said there was penetration. In many cases, forced penetration. You and I know that if you don't give consent to a sexual act, that is rape. That's the definition of rape. You know what I mean. That's the textbook definition of rape. Grape. YouTube. I didn't say the R. I said GRAPE. That's a definition of rape. When you don't consent, these boys told the court through a psychologist that they were forced into these acts. And you know where I felt that this Ackerman guy showed us the middle finger? It was when he went and got himself a state-provided lawyer. to represent him. It was as if he was telling the people of South Africa, particularly the taxpayers, F you, F you, F you, F you. I committed all these crimes, still F you, because the money to pay for my lawyers are going to come out of your pocket. The state indicated in court that Mr. Ackerman knew exactly what he was doing, that he was breaking the law, and he was happily breaking the law. Even the judge was so pissed off at him that he even addressed him and asked him questions that you knew you were breaking the law, and happily so. And of course, Mr. Ackerman, being an offuscator, he was offuscating, he was answering questions that he was not asked. He continued to say, those boys gave consent. Those boys gave consent. How does a 16-year-old... This upsets me. And I hope the day when I compile a true crime video on this story, I'll be able to compose myself better than I am currently. Mr. Gerhard had the audacity to tell the court that these boys needed the money. They needed the money. And he was providing jobs. You're providing jobs for kids to get raped. That's a job. And he still insisted that he did not break the law. He just kept insisting that he did not break the law. He would turn to the judge and ask the judge, what did he do wrong? Tell me, what did I do wrong? How sick must you be? So when he was asking that question in my mind, I was like, oh gosh, where are the gallows? Tell me, where are the gallows? Because this man needs to be taken to the gallows. So around April 2023, the court came to a conclusion with this trial, and he was found guilty of 720 charges or counts of the 740 counts that he was charged with. By the way, some of these charges, they carry a life sentence, so hopefully he will get a life sentence. In his judgment, the judge, I think it's Mohammed, his last name is, he also was scathing on the late Paul Kennedy. He made sure that the court understood that Mr. Kennedy knew better because he was an advocate. He brought shame to himself and also shame to the legal profession. And it is sad that he is not there to take responsibility for what he had done. You know, when I was watching the court proceedings on this matter, I kept thinking about Mr. Pila and Mr. Ndo. Like, not so long ago, I was crying, not exactly crying, I was complaining about the fact that, you know, when you're a lawyer, I feel like the principle of fit and proper should always be carried with you. And then if you ever found to be wanting in this profession, the best thing to do is to save the reputation of your profession by resigning. Well, Mr. Paul Kennedy, he took it to the extreme. He deleted himself just so he protects the reputation of the Johannesburg Bar and the judiciary. So that is why I want to know, do you think he committed an honorable act or he was just a coward? I would like to know. So sentencing procedures for Gerhard Ackerman will be held on the 18th of July 2023. So this is where there will be mitigation of sentence, and new arguments are going to ensue as to why he should be a free man after committing these heinous crimes he done to children. Or did I mention also human trafficking was part of his sex ring company? Yep, indeed. He was charged with human trafficking too. So my thoughts here, I keep wondering who are the other people that he had in his black book, the cell phone. If the investigators are going to make more arrests, I would like to know. And I would also like to know if there are any other Ackermans out there that are busy running sex rings that are involving vulnerable children. And if any child or a child that escaped from this sort of treatment do come forward, your identity, of course, is going to be concealed Because at the end of the day, people like Ackerman need to be found, rounded up, and thrown in prison for the rest of their miserable, vile lives. As far as I'm concerned, Gerhard Ackerman is the vilest man in South Africa, and he deserves to rot in jail. Other than this, guys, you can go to my true crime YouTube channel, The Iron Bars. This is where I would drop a full video, detailed video about this whole mess. Well, that is it, guys. If you like the video, give it a like. I know it was an unconventional one. While we are waiting for the Tabapesta stuff to resume, in the meantime, we'll be doing other cases that I am following, because I am following a lot of cases currently. And I want to also talk about the case of the girl that was chopped into pieces by a boyfriend in the Eastern Cape. You know, remember that student? That is another case that I was following, and I had concluded a script on that. I would like to talk about that. I don't know if you would like to hear about it. Please do comment down below. As a matter of fact, give me 50 likes so that I can cover that one right here. That is also reserved for my True Crime YouTube channel, because it's going to be in depth, where we are going to be focusing on the perpetrator, who he is, and how he got himself in the mess. Because when you look at this guy, you would not believe that he could even hurt a fly, let alone a human being. But most of them, that's how they look. And I think that's what fascinates me about true crime, is that the people that commit these heinous crimes, like, what? No ways. So anyways, do leave me a comment down below. Share this video far and wide. Also, leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time with a new video. Goodbye.